Good evening to everyone who's joining us so far. My name is Jill Krakowitz. I'm the head of school counseling and admissions here at Whittier Tech. I want to thank you all for being able to pivot and do tonight's event with us remotely. We are just waiting on our MIFA presenter, Kevin Fudge, to join us, and as soon as he's here, we'll get going. Do want to make a note that we are recording this screening so that we will be able to share it with any families who are not able to make it tonight. So thanks for your patience. We'll just wait for a few minutes for him to join us and we'll be on our way. All right, I think looks like Kevin may be here. Kevin, are you here?
I am.
All right. All right, everybody. I'd like to welcome Kevin Fudge. Kevin is our presenter from MIFA. So he is here joining us this evening. Has a busy night and plan as far as I understand. So um, I promised Kevin that I would do my best not to mess up all the tech stuff here. So I'm gonna try really hard not to do that. So Kevin, I'm gonna share my screen
Okay,
and you are
awesome.
more than welcome to take it away and just let me know when you want to move to another slide.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Hang on.
Wait for it.
Waiting. Oh no, I'm already not making good on my promise, Kevin.
It's all right. It's okay. I can wing it. I
No,
know
I'll get it. I'll get it.
this
Hang
stuff
on.
like the back of my hand.
I'm sure you do. All right. Well, why
Yeah,
don't if you want to start introing yourself, I'm going to figure
yeah,
this
I will. So my name's Kevin. My last name really is Fudge. You can chuckle if you want. Do not take offense. I'm the guy that does the financial aid talks. So those of you who may have seen me before do that. But I also have experience in admissions. Don't let my boyish looks fool you. I'll be 52. I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. So I'm like right in this process with you. I understand. So I have a junior and a senior. So know this like the back of my hand. So even if we don't have slides, I can walk you through everything there is to know about admissions for college, both 2-year school, 4-year school, and if you're thinking about straight to career or military, can talk about that for a little bit as well. So there's that. And thanks to Nelly for being on camera. Not to say that everybody else has to be on camera, but it's just nice to see folks. So, hey Nelly, how's it going? All right, full disclosure, I do like the Eagles, Super Bowl 59 champions. Sorry for those of you that like the Patriots. They crashed and burned this year. But maybe, who knows? You can pop in those DVDs of the 6 championships to heal your wounds, and maybe they'll be back next year. Probably not, but who knows? One can hope. Oh, let's go. Good job, Joe. All right. So you can actually go to the MIFA, about MIFA slide, the third one. So I'm here as a volunteer for MIFA. I've been volunteering for MIFA for about almost 18 years now. Um, Basically, the takeaway from this is when you're getting information about this process, either go to the school, talk to your awesome school counselor, or go to a neutral third party like MIFA. They were created by the state legislature, and their whole reason for being is to help families plan, save, and pay for college. So they sponsor these admissions nights. They sponsor financial aid nights at high schools. They do about 150 every year across the Commonwealth. And then they also do lending. So when people are looking to pay for college and they need additional resources, MIFA is a great source for that. Next, please. So tonight we're going to talk about like current trends in college admissions, how to create a college list, what it means to go on a campus visit, the actual application process. We're going to touch on financial aid a little bit, and then we're going to talk about free resources. Next, please. And if you have a question, I think there's a feature where you can like raise your hand in the React button. So I like to take questions as we go and not wait until the end. So if you do have questions, feel free to raise your hand and then come off mute and ask away. Okay. So one trend that
we can't see the slides.
ooh, that's not good.
Okay, I'm back on it. I'll figure it
I
out.
was able to see the slides if that helps.
Oh, somebody
okay.
was, somebody wasn't. All right, I'm going to try again.
Okay. Well, on that first slide, we were talking about how people are applying to more colleges now. So me being a 52-year-old, when I applied back in the day, I applied to like 6 colleges, right? Got into 3, got rejected by 3. Simple, right? End of story. Whereas now kids are applying to like, 10, 12, 15. I talked to a kid this year who applied to 18 colleges, and it's just madness. There's no evidence to suggest that when you apply to more schools, you have a better chance of getting admitted or sometimes the running theory is if I apply to more colleges, then I'll get better financial aid, but there's no evidence that makes that connection. So because college applications can be 50 to 75 bucks, I don't recommend applying to that many. You don't have to apply to 6 like in the olden days, but I would say 8 to 10 and you're fine. And the way that we think about it is like you apply to some that are lock solid, you get into no matter what, usually the open enrollment schools, and then schools with like a 75 or 80% acceptance rate. Then there are schools that have like, you could be 50-50 depending on your student's profile, academic profile. And there's schools that are long shots. And that's going to be different for every family, right? Every student is going to have a different range of what is like likely, what is like, could go 50-50, and then what is like a reach, a long shot. So you have to determine that with your student, and your school counselor can kind of help you shape that conversation. But just be realistic. It doesn't make sense to apply to like a bunch of uber competitive schools without like having some backups and some things that the kid will be satisfied with going to. Another thing is social media. So I'm not sure. I just figured out what TikTok was last year. So I'm a dinosaur. The only reason why I have a cell phone is because I'm married with kids. Literally, I had this conversation today. If I was not married with kids, I would not have a phone. Literally, I would just have a pager, or I would have an answering machine at my house. Like I'm not one of these social media people, but like colleges, especially the ones in the South, are actively recruiting students in the Northeast by appealing to their sense of like, I hate winter and ooh, sorority life, And so like Alabama, Arkansas, lots of Southern schools are on social media, aggressively pitching their schools to students here in the Northeast. So that's impacting admissions. And then now, because so many kids are applying to a lot of schools, there's longer wait lists, and then more ambiguity about where you're going to go. So the takeaway from this is don't follow the herd. You don't have to apply to 20 colleges. Like, do your research, do your homework. Applying to 8 to 10 schools is fine. And then just you have much narrow range to make your choice versus choosing from 18 to 20. Next, please. So MIFA as a college application manager, I'm big on digital tools. I'm also big on having manila folders and keeping like a filing system. It can just help you stay organized. But either way, just it's helpful to understand when their deadlines and then whether the school is test optional. And by test optional, I mean, do they require the SAT or ACT standardized test, or is it optional? My preference is optional. I don't think testing tells how talented or capable a student is. Testing strongly correlates with income. So the higher people's income, usually the higher the test scores. So there's no evidence to suggest that it's a measure of intelligence. So if you can skip it, go for it. Next, please. So these are some websites that are really helpful, and these links are live. So Jill, I'm going to butcher your last name, so I'm just saying Jill, can email you the presentation afterwards. And these links are live. So if you go to collegenavigator.org, College Scorecard, Big Future, MIFA Pathway, these are all ways for you to kind of research colleges. Okay, next, please. So when I'm talking to young people about colleges and then parents too, it's basically the two variables that can help you sort are like size and location. Do you want a big school, a small school, or do you want to go close to home or far from home? Once you kind of set those as your parameters, then you can kind of, it helps you shape your college search. So, and distance is relative. When I used to work at Holy Cross in Worcester, almost 30 years ago, and when I would go to Boston and I would tell kids about Holy Cross, they'd be like, Holy Cross, where's that? Never heard of that school. And I was like, it's in Worcester. They're like, where's Worcester? I'm like, 45 minutes west on the Mass Pike. Oh man, that's wicked far. I don't want to go there. It's too far. And I was just like, guys, it's a 45-minute drive. Like, what are we talking about? Then I go to New York City and I talk to kids about going to Holy Cross. And be like, Holy Cross, where's that? And I'm like, it's Worcester. Where's Worcester? I'm like, it's central Massachusetts. So about 2.5 hours or 3 hours north of here. 3 hours? Man, that's too close. I'm trying to go to school in California. I want to go to school in Vancouver. I want to go to school in Guam. I don't even know where Guam is, but I think I want to go to college there. I'm like, all right, okay. Don't shoot the messenger. But the point is, distance is relative. So some kids think that Worcester is far because they want to stay in Boston. Some kids in New York think Worcester's too close because they want to go far away. Talk about it with your kid. My general rule is if you're going longer than a half day's drive, meaning 6 to 8 hours away, I would feel more comfortable if you had a relative that was in that area. So for example, if your kid wants to end up going to a school in the South because they've been looking at TikTok videos or they, are lured or enticed by the thought of warmer weather, if you have relatives down there or like third cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever, fine. But if your kid is going to like Florida or someplace else, like, and doesn't know a soul, I would emphasize that you can go to college closer and then have that as a summer experience, right? Like go there and do an internship or be a lifeguard and do your Baywatch experience. But you don't have to go there to college to get that experience. Next, please. So when you're looking at visiting a college, it's important to note that colleges record your engagement when they're making decisions about admissions. So one of the ways that you can enhance your chances to go to a particular college, especially if it's like one of those schools that's between 50-50 acceptance rates and some of the more challenging schools to get into, is they look at how have you had contact with the school? Did you go on a tour? Did you have an interview if they offer it? Did you meet with a professor? Did you stay overnight if they offer overnight visits? Did you meet with a coach if you're playing athletics, right? So those things are on the formal visits and on the right-hand column, and the school records them. So when they're reviewing your application for admissions, they're looking at how many points of contact you've had with the school. Conversely, an informal visit you can do online. You can just drive through the campus. You can take your own personal tour. So when you're going on an informal visit, you're just kind of like getting a feel for it. But if you'd like to actually go on a campus tour, I strongly recommend doing it through the admissions office, because again, they're going to record that. And that could be the difference between tipping the scales between waitlist and accept in the evaluation. Next, please. College fair tips. I think it's important. The key takeaway from this is check out the colleges that will be there beforehand instead of just going there and showing up and be like, I wonder who I want to see. Make the most of your time. And then if you have an opportunity to meet with an admissions representative, get that individual's business card, because that can be your point of contact if you have additional questions about the school, whether they be admissions or financial aid. One kind of hidden secret about college admissions is that oftentimes admissions folks, if they get to like the kid, can be their advocate in the financial aid office to then help the kid get a better financial aid package, which would then encourage them to come. So encourage your students to get the cards and the contact information and follow up with them, because that's their whole job. Their whole admissions jobs is to engage with students. They like getting, and when I was admissions, the most fun part about my day was just answering messages from kids. I used to love getting emails from kids. So good stuff. And you can check these links down here to see when their college fairs will be in our area. Next, please. So again, like when I said in the beginning, you want to look at your college list. So likely, possible, reach, and have a healthy balance. You don't want to have 10 schools reach and then only one likely and one possible. Right. So I'm big into being ambitious and shoot for the moon, but it's also important to be pragmatic and practical. And your school counselor can help you shape that. Next, please. So with admissions, regular decision means you're going to get, it's the January deadline for the application, January 1st or 15th, and then you get a decision right around this time, so end of March. Early action, your deadline will be in November or December, and then your decision will be before the end of the calendar year typically. And this is non-binding, meaning early action, you have the option to accept the offer or wait for other offers to come through in regular decision, and then make your final choice May 1st when you do your enrollment deposit. Early decision, deadlines in November and December, and this is a binding agreement. You sign a contract with the school counselor, with yourself, the student, and then the parent signs to acknowledge if you get accepted, you will come. So word about this real quick. It is binding, but it's not legally enforceable. In other words, they can't force you to go if they come back to you and they don't give you sufficient financial aid. However, it's important to remember that part of the agreement is you're going to go to the school regardless of whatever financial aid they gave you. In my opinion, early decision is not advisable because it does not give you the opportunity to look at other award offers and discounts you may get from other colleges, and it locks you into one. And so if a college knows you're going to come, where is their incentive to give you the best financial aid package? It really doesn't exist. So buyer beware, and I strongly, strongly, strongly urge you, without editorializing and standing on a soapbox, not to do early decision, okay? Rolling admissions means they make a decision as they get applications. So if you submit an application in November, you'll get a decision in a couple of weeks. So usually those schools are not uber competitive, but it allows them to shape their class ongoing and not wait until the frenzy that is the end of March into May 1st. And then open admission is typically what you'd see at like Northern Essex, right? As long as you have a high school diploma and you graduated, you can be admitted to their programs, which is awesome because two-year colleges are free in the Commonwealth, and they can be a great springboard either to get your associates and move on, or to get your associates and then transfer to a four-year to complete your bachelor's degree. Next, please. So the college application forms, Common Application is the one that's most used. That's commonapp.org. Again, that link is alive. You'll have to just cut and paste. The Universal College app, we see a little bit of that, but not as much. Coalition for College Access is trying to bring a little bit of equity to the process. you can get the application from a college's website, or you can do it by paper if you wanted to go old school, which I believe may enhance your ability to get in some of these schools. When I was in 1991, when I was applying to college, my dad made me use a manual typewriter because I bought his electronic typewriter and didn't give it back to him in the condition that he gave it to me, whatever. So he's like, well, you're going to have to use this 1950s type. I'm like, that really? Like what? This is the 90s, man. Come on. So anyway, but because I used the school's paper application in my like regular typewriter, I think they actually thought it was like cute. Like I was trying to be all like retro, like Angela Lansbury and Murder, She Wrote. So they gave me extra points for creativity, and that's how I got admitted to the University of Virginia. So my dad's form of like punishment actually worked, and I got into the school. So anyway, yeah, my dad's a character. But that's another story for another day. Next slide, please. So the common applications can vary, but the standard things they're going to include are the actual application form, your high school transcript, which is the most important aspect of the application because it shows what grades you've gotten, what classes you've taken. Then if you have the option to share standardized test scores, but if it is test optional, I would definitely like opt out unless, you have rock star scores and you're like, hey, I have a 1400, 1500, or I had a perfect 1600 grade. But if not, I wouldn't bother sending them in if the school is test optional. You're going to have letters of recommendation, one from your school counselor and then one from a teacher. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a teacher that you had your best grade in. Sometimes the best teacher recommendations are from classes where the student maybe struggled a little bit, but showed perseverance and like worked through their challenges to do well in the end, right? You're going to have an activity list of what you did when you were in school. You're going to write an essay, and then some schools allow the opportunity to have an interview, which is great because it gives you a chance to talk with either an alum of the school or an admissions counselor. And then you can do an audition for like for music, and then a portfolio for art if you're applying to school where that's one of your majors. Next, please. So this, we could probably skip this. This is just basically saying, what is your reason for going to college? Are you just following the herd, or are you interested in going because there's a specific major that you want to do? What colleges are basically looking for is this student likely to continue in college and do well, or based on maybe they didn't get the best of grades, maybe they'd be better off going at a different school because the amount of rigor can vary at colleges, meaning like the requirements, how tough the classes are, what their expectations are. I am a big believer in like listening to your kids. And so if your kids are like, I want to take a year off before going to college, great. If your kid's like, I want to go to the best school I can get into and like be a Rhodes Scholar, great. But you don't want to put pressure on them to follow a particular path, right? There's a right fit for everybody and there's a right pathway, college and career. They're equally the same. It's not either or. We like to think of it as in tandem. And just make sure that you're kind of matching what the students' interests are and their academic capabilities up until this point and what the college has to offer. Only 60% or technically 62% of kids who start college finish within 6 years. So 38%, almost 40% of students are not completing college. So, and that's at a 4-year college. So it's not like everything all together. It's students who start a 4-year college, only about 60% of them finish, 40% don't. So that's roughly a little bit more than half. So if we can do a better job of like identifying, either making the right fit so that students don't drop out because they don't think it's the right fit, or maybe, giving a student pause to figure out what their reason for going to college is, I think we can help tick up that success rate and see students do better when they get through. Because the name of the game is not just getting in, it's getting in, getting through, and then managing any student loan debt that you obtain to get the degree. Then we consider that college access. It's not just getting in. Okay, we got to get in, we got to get through, we got to get our degree, and then we have to satisfy any debt we had to get the degree. Next, please. These are the standardized tests I talk about. So PSATs, your students have already taken if you're as kids a junior. SATs, kids take, they can take them junior year. In fact, there was a test last weekend. ACT, and then AP exams. So if you want to figure out what schools are test optional, you can go to fairtest.org. Next, please. So your activities list, I think the important takeaway from this is This is not the activity list of 30 years ago when if you went to college back in the day with me. Now family responsibility is considered an after school activity. So if you are not able to do like traditional things like ceramics and yearbook and Star Trek club or Glee club, but you have to go home because you're responsible for taking care of your siblings, you include that in your activities. Or if some students actually are employed and they contribute some of their earnings to the household, that's an after school activity. In other words, it doesn't necessarily be related to the school itself. Anything you do as a student during the school year, during the week, you count as an activity. Very, very important to note. Okay. Next, please. Essays, I just don't, my point is from this, don't sweat too much. Okay. This is not evaluative in that if you say the wrong thing, they're going to reject you. It's more of an opportunity to just introduce yourself and let the admissions committee know like what makes you tick. Like, why do you get out of bed in the morning? What your skills, your talents, your interests are. How can this college that you're applying to, bring those things out? What are you looking forward to most about adulting? You may be scared about being an adult. Maybe you're going to invent a time machine so you can be Benjamin Button and go back to fourth grade and live that out your whole life. Whatever. Like, the point is, who are you? What do you like to do? How are you going to be engaged in our community? That's what even the big schools with like 30,000 students are interested in how students are going to be involved on campus, right? So I think that's really important to convey. Make it authentic. Please don't use ChatGPT to write your college essay. Please, 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 please. Authenticity is key. Okay. I know it can be revealing to talk about personal stuff. So maybe you don't want to talk about the time you asked this girl out to prom and she said no, and you were like, you were crushed. You watched Say Anything with John Cusack holding the boombox like 20 times to lift your spirits. But it's so important to be authentic and honest and not say what you think they want to hear. Okay. Don't be so off the wall that you're like, hey, guess what? In my free time, I like to make hit lists and new ways of figuring out ways to play Grand Theft Auto. Like, you don't want to be too off the rails, but you don't want to be like a robot and just give them what you think they want to hear. Be yourself, proofread, don't just spell check, proofread. Because when I used to work at Holy Cross, I got a lot of essays that ended with, and that's why I love to come to Boston College. And it's like, I mean, I didn't really care, but the director was like, really, kid, you didn't proofread? So it just, doesn't make a good impression. So definitely proofread. Next, please. These are all the admissions prompts. I'm not going to go through every one, but when you look at this slide offhand or offline, you can read these questions. And again, it's basically like reflection. What do you think? It's like topic of your choice. You could write a poem. You could write a song. Like you could take this any direction you want. My point is, if you're preparing for college admissions, you should come to the first day of senior year, your college essay should be done. Okay. Or at least have started it and have the framework. And then if you want to work with your school counselor or teacher, English teacher on refining it, great. But you should not wait until senior year to actually start your college essay. You have all the questions right here before you. You know what they are. So just noodle around, figure out which one works best for you, and spend the summer fine tuning it so that you're coming into senior year ready, and you're not just senior year oh, what am I going to write about? And yeah. I think it helps get the kid in the mentality of I'm getting ready to apply for school, and you start to think about that the summer before your senior year. And two, it helps them, the more you can revise it, the better it actually be. Next, please. Letters of recommendation, you can identify those again your junior year. So make sure you ask the teacher and say how they want to approach it. Because some teachers will want a month in advance. Some teachers don't care. You can give it to them the night before. They'll crank it out for you. But you really want a teacher that you have a good rapport with, who can talk about your academic growth and your personal growth, right? Not just hey, Tom did a great job in class and now he knows the quadratic equation. No, I mean, you want somebody to also say, Tom really matured. Tom helped a student who was struggling. Tom asked for extra help, which revealed vulnerability. There's got to be a teacher that your kid has a good rapport with that can help. Okay. And usually the one that maybe knows them the longest. So maybe you had them as a freshman, but then still keep in touch. That's fine. Or, if you don't have one that comes out that sticks out, stick with one that's in a later grade, because chances are, again, the kids are going to be more mature and there'll be lots more things to talk about from a recommendation standpoint. Okay. Jill, did you want to say anything about like what school counselors recommend, or when you want the students to come to you for their recommendations?
So first of all, am I off mute? I can't remember and I can't
Yes.
see. Okay, great. So yeah, I know the counselors have been meeting with all of the students in their shops, and have talked to them about letters. So they've got information on the Google Classroom, but I think that that's the same information that we give them. It could be the teacher that you had as a freshman still have as a coach. It could be the teacher that you maybe you had in earlier grades and happen to have again. Sometimes you don't know if you have a teacher again until senior year. But if not, if no one jumps out at that, then definitely trying to stick with a teacher in junior or senior year, just so they can speak to who you are in a little bit more of kind of a time relative fashion rather than who you were when you were 14. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Next, please.
uh-oh. There we go. Okay.
Let's go. Okay. So interviews, again, these are not evaluative. I can never say this word. Evaluative. There we go. Just because I talk too fast. I got to slow down. Más despacio, por favor. I learned that a lot when I learned Spanish, and I was like talking because I was like, this is ironic. Now I'm getting talked to like at lightning speed, and I need to tell people to slow down. Maybe this is a lesson for me when I speak English. But interviews, like I said before, are an opportunity for the kid to ask questions and learn more about the college. It's not like a personality test, although, let me just say, as somebody who used to interview kids, you can shoot yourself in the foot by being obtuse. For example, I asked this kid, well, what do you like to do in your free time? And he's like, dude, I don't know, man, just get baked. And this is before marijuana was illegal. But even if it was legal, I probably wouldn't tell my admissions counselor that I like to get baked. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting activity. What else do you do? Well, I'm usually hungry, so we just get Doritos. And I'm like, okay, just stop. Okay. Um, and then there was another young lady who came in and literally like looked like she was dressed up going to Miami Beach. And I'm like, I get that it's summer. I know that it's hot, but can we put maybe a little more clothes on? Because this is a little awkward, right? So I think the main takeaways for interviews are be yourself, normal kind of conversation. You can be quirky and creative, but again, don't be way out there, right? And then attire is important. So just like, even though if you do this during the summer, it's going to be hot. Just like, I recommend collared shirts for both young men and young women. No like kind of like tank tops, and young men, please learn the power of a belt. My sons are 19 and 16. I'm always like pulling their pants up. I'm like, guys, can we please suspenders? I'm literally gonna get you suspenders if you don't like pull your pants up. Okay, so yeah. But that's really important too. It's how you present yourself, and it's a good life lesson, right? So maybe your young people are applying for jobs, and so it's just how you carry yourself and present yourself, and an early concept of professionalism, I think, is good. An early taste of it. Next, please. So the admissions decision, schools will send and tell you admitted, deferred, denied, waitlisted. Deferred is only for if you apply early, they will put you in the regular pool. So that's what deferred is. But most decisions are accept, waitlist, reject. And if I were you, I don't know that I would really want to be on somebody's wait list. Imagine yourself like asking somebody at prom, like, hey, you want to go to the prom with me? No, I'll put you on my wait list. Like, no, I mean, either yes or no, right? So if you're on the wait list, chances of you getting off are kind of minimal. So I would just stick with the schools that give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. To secure your place in a class, so you'll get your admission. Most high school seniors right now are getting their admissions decisions like this week and next week. And then you have the entire month of April to kind of like deliberate on your decision, and then make a deposit, enrollment deposit, anywhere from $500 to $800 on May 1st. And when you make your enrollment deposit, that reserves your spot in that future class. So those of you that are juniors, that are seniors, you're in the class of 2027. So when you apply to college, you'll be in a class of 2011. So they'll say you reserve your spot there. Next, please.
All right, Kevin, just so you know, we got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, cool. Good. Thank you for that. I put myself on timer. So what is the cost of attendance? That's really important to note. you're going to look at, you can look at private scholarships now, but you can't really apply to them until October of your senior year. So basically just you can get ballpark figures. Every college has a net price calculator, but the important things to note are what your net cost will be. And if you have multiple kids in the family and this is your first, not to blow the budget entirely in the first, that you have resources left behind for the next 2 or 3. Next, please. And then just like I mentioned, net price calculators, you can look, they're offered at every school, they're required by law. And then just, if you can't find it, just search in the search toolbar, net price calculators, answer some few basic questions, and you will get a ballpark. It's not a guarantee, but it's more of an estimate based on of your own financial information. And then you use that then to figure out, is this affordable? Is this not? Every family's different. Next, please. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. That's going to be available October 1st. It's going to ask you about 2025 income. The CSS profile is for about 200 private colleges and universities. And then colleges sometimes have their own specific financial aid applications. But we can talk about more about that in the fall. Next. These are great resources for paying for college in Massachusetts. The one to consider is Free Community College, Mass Educate, and then tuition breaks. So if you want to go to a college in New England, you can have a reduction in out-of-state costs for certain programs that aren't offered in Massachusetts. Next. And then stay on track through senior year. Basically, just don't start senior slump until April vacation senior year. That's what the takeaway from this is. Next. MIFA pathway is really cool. You can create, it's like tools and things that can help you think about the future. Look at work-based learning opportunities, career assessments. It's a really cool tool. So that link is live. You can click on that to kind of poke around.
Yeah, Kevin, this is
Next, please.
actually class of 27 is our first class we're using MIFA Pathways with them. So we're excited about
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Next, please. All right. So what you can do now is you can explore MIFA Pathway, go on the websites, do the MIFA webinars, which is great. Research colleges, start building your list. Again, think size, location. Yeah, just keep an open mind. Next. MIFA's on social media, YouTube, MIFA Counselor, Instagram. And this is all foreign to me because I don't know anything about social media, but if you're into that, then I recommend you follow them. Lots of awesome information. It's all free. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Next. If you have questions, you can contact them at 800-449-MEFA, or you can email them at collegeplanning@mifa.org. And that, with 1 minute to spare, ladies and gentlemen, is college admissions in a nutshell.
Well done. All right. So I know that does not leave us a lot of time for questions. But if there are questions, you are absolutely welcome to reach out to us here in the school counseling office, either directly.
Email address in the chat too.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. So yeah, definitely reach out to us here in the office, either directly to your student school counselor or just to the guidance office in general. We can get it to the right spot. But we are going to send this video out. We'll send out the slides as well because they have all those great live links. I want to thank Kevin for being here from afar today. And we will certainly be inviting Kevin. Kevin comes back every fall to talk about more in depth kind of the financial aid process. And so we'll make sure to get him in the building next fall so you all can see him in person. But thank you again, everybody, for joining. I hope you have a great night. And we will talk to you all soon. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.